Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully, everybody can hear us. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. It's 3:01 p.m., and we're going to go ahead and get started. First a roll. Can you click that on the slide? Click that on the slide. Yeah, click on the slide. Okay. All right, so just a reminder for folks online that if you're attending virtually and you're speaking, please make sure your camera is turned on while you're speaking. It's a requirement of the Texas Open Meetings Act. So just one brief reminder there before we get started with roll call. Give me 1 second. Okay. So I'm going to go through the roll call here, and if you're in the room, say here. If you're online, go ahead and unmute yourself and say here if you're online. So it's a small box. The screen shows all the participants on the right. Yeah, well, Linda's also monitoring on her computer. Okay, so I'm going to go through the roll call, and if you're here, go ahead and say here. Patricia Franco?
Here.
Lyle Hostetler? Carl Bratmiller? Jeff Jordan? Cheryl Rogers? And if you're an alternate here, in place of the primary member, you can also say here and what your name is. Okay. Lauren Simsick?
Here.
Jessica Brunson?
Here.
Brandon Ross? Okay. Brandon, I see you. Channery Gold? I think just all Channery's one earlier. Erica Dapp? Oh, okay. Okay. So, sorry, looks like we're having some issues with unmuting. Okay. Okay, give me just 1 second. Okay. Give us 1 second, please. Okay, give us 1 minute, y'all. Bear with us, please. Yeah, give us a moment. We're trying to fix the audio issue. audience staff to see if they can unmute themselves. I think I found the setting. Okay, perfect. Yay. Okay, my apologies about that, y'all. Okay, we're just going to try this again. We'll just go through the roll call once again. So when I say your name, please say here. If you are an alternate here in place of the primary member, go ahead and say here and what your name is, please. Patricia Franco.
Here.
Lyle Settler.
I'm here.
Carl Brett Miller.
Here.
Jeff Jordan. Cheryl Rogers.
Mary Ellen Shuley, the alternate, Kendall County.
Great, thank you. Lauren Simsick. Jessica Brunson.
Here.
Brandon Ross.
Here.
Channery Gold.
Hi, I'm here.
Eric Taft.
Here.
Erica. Great. Bill Hill. Allison Hayward.
Here.
Sound shut off again. Now there's no sound.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, y'all. Our phone just got disconnected. Man, this afternoon, wow. Okay, so picking up where we left off, Melanie Coffin.
Here.
Bert McKeown. Great.
I'm here.
Great. Carrie Kuamura.
Here.
Robert Hanley. Here. Karen Bishop.
Here.
J.D. Simpson.
Here.
Darcy Schipple.
Here.
Maricela Diaz-Wells. Okay. All right, we do have a quorum, or ex officio too. Lydia Kelly. Deborah Sharvin.
Here.
Adalberto Gomez. All right, so we do have a quorum of our voting members here today. Do we have any citizens to be heard? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 3. Okay, sorry, let me pull up my slides again. All right, so agenda item number 3, y'all were here last month. We were having a conversation about the ATAC co-chairs. So once again, for reference, every 2 years, ATAC will elect two co-chairs from its current membership. The co-chairs shall be selected or elected by the majority of members present at the meeting. One co-chair will represent the cycling or micromobility community, and one co-chair will represent the pedestrian community. The co-chairs will alternate the ATAC meetings. So just to recap from the last meeting, so February 9th ATAC meeting, Robert Hanley is nominated to be a co-chair representing the pedestrian community, and then nominations were also made for Carl Brackmiller, Jeff Jordan, or Carrie Kuamura to be the co-chair representing cycling or micromobility community. Also, a member survey held from February 17th through the 25th of February 17th to the 25th, 2022. Collected additional nominations for Jessica Brunson or J.D. Simpson to be the co-chair representing cycling and micromobility community. So first, we're going to break this up into 2 sections. We first we'll cover the pedestrian co-chair. So according to recent events, Robert Hamlin is nominated to be a co-chair representing the pedestrian community. Did not receive any other nominations for this in the survey. And before we move forward, are there any other nominations for this co-chair position? All right, hearing none. So, Robert, I'll just give you a quick moment to provide a brief statement on why you're interested in this, or why you're not, or why you're qualified.
Well, let me see. I started as the PMAC chair in June of 2010, and I said, you know, with this new consolidation of committee of the BMAC and PMAC, it might help. And I make sure that Joey said it's only for 2 years, let somebody else grow in the position to help how we process, how we run these meetings and the structure. And I was willing to do it, and so that's my story. I'm an independent architect, sort of in a semi-retired position, so I have the time to do this. But for those looking to do it in the future, be aware that I'm only doing it for 2 years.
All right. Thank you for that information, Robert. So now members of the committee may make a motion to select the nominees for the ATAC co-chair representing the pedestrian community, and or make a motion to elect the co-chair nominee.
I make a motion to elect Robert Hanley as the new co-chair representing the pedestrians. I would second.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor from Darcy and a second from J.D. Simpson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Ask any opposed again.
Or just to verify, any opposed? Robert wants to make sure. Okay, seeing none, Robert is our new co-chair for ATAC, representing the pedestrian community. And so once we'll pass this on to Robert to help chair the committee so we can actually take action on some of our agenda items here today. And so while Robert gets settled in over here, I'm also going to introduce the next co-chair position. So this one's representing the cycling or micromobility community. So according to our event, Carl Brackmiller, Jeff Jordan, Carrie Kumura, Jessica Brunson, and J.D. Simpson were nominated to be a candidate for the co-chair representing the cycling or micromobility community. Previously spoke with Jeff Jordan and Carrie Kumura, indicated that they will not be able to serve in this role at the moment. So that leaves us currently with Carl Brackmiller, Jessica Brunson, and J.D. Simpson. Are there any other nominations at this moment? So next, we'll go ahead and go through and, similar to Robert, just a couple minutes to kind of introduce yourself, say why you want to be a co-chair, and yeah, why you think you'd qualify for that. So I'll start off how Elizabeth's here. I'll start off with Carl. You can unmute yourself and just say a couple of minutes, or right here.
Thanks, Joey.
For a couple of minutes here.
Sure. Thank you. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Carl Bradmiller, and I'm a representative of Alamo Cycling Initiative on one of the bicycling organization seats. And our focus is a little different than some of the other organizations, which I feel like may sort of benefit the perspective of the ATAC as a whole, and that we kind of focus on the educational element in terms of preparing, especially youth riders, for being able to take advantage of the biking and walking opportunities that exist in San Antonio currently, and that we're all trying to work together to build on those opportunities. And so I think having those kinds of diversities of perspective will hopefully benefit the organization. And a lot of people come from sort of the have a strong background in the built environment, and the kind of strongest area of my background is in sort of the usability piece, and in what that looks like when you step out of the meetings, and get into sort of the boots on the ground, and how our community members interacting with the city once those pieces are in place. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Carl. Next, we'll go with Jessica Brunson.
All right.
Wow, I'm supposed to be can't take it. Yeah.
All right. I'm Jessica Brunson. I work with the City of San Antonio as a senior transportation planner, and my background is about 20 years within this micromobility and bicycle infrastructure, and also figuring out different designs and methods and strategies for getting those things done. Not only inside of my 9-to-5 with the city do I work with these things as far as cycling and micromobility, but also outside working with the best people and the best fit to get things done. And as far as ATAC seeing things for a co-chair position, it's not just representing this piece of cycling and micromobility, but also seeing how we can get things done, to have solutions that we can bring to active transportation committee or TAC. So TAC with ATAC, maybe we can combine them and find some kind of common ground with what we can do in the next year or two to see what else we can fulfill within this community of active transportation. As far as just kind of keep this brief, also with my co-chair possibility of position, I did serve last year, and also trying to build on that to see what else we can do with the members that we have, and I see that we are growing, and also, having a little bit more intimate relations as far as city is concerned, understanding what we can do for the bond, what we can strategize for the future, and other kind of policies and implementation plans we can set up for ourselves, not just as a committee, but also how each organization can be affected and be best used in each possible way.
Thank you, Jessica. Next, we'll go to J.D. Simpson.
J.D. Simpson. I am the general manager for San Antonio V-Cycle. I've been involved in the cycling community in San Antonio for over 20 years, focusing on micromobility and the bike share program since 2009, and having been a part of various committees and subcommittees within the previous BMAC for most of those years. So I'm very excited about being considered for this position. I have been really focused on bike share and not as much on the rest, as we've been developing and going through problems and issues, but I have worked very closely with other community cycling groups and programs, with the MPO, with the City of San Antonio, dealing with the various departments and things like that. I will concede, I do feel like Carl and Jessica could bring a lot to this position and a lot to this table. So I feel like I will throw my vote one of those ways. But I appreciate being considered, and I would be happy in an alternative role or some other subcommittee position. We'll be glad to do that, glad to provide my support to this group. I'm very excited about having that combination, because it's not just about bicycling. It's about the whole community and vulnerable users in all capacities.
Thank you, J.D. So at this moment, we have, I guess, it could be a two-part with this. So make a motion to accept the nominees for co-chairs. We'll have, I guess, since there's multiple people as nominees for this co-chair, we'll break this up into two parts. Somebody can make a motion to accept the nominees for co-chairs.
I move to accept the nominees
Second.
for
Who's second?
Who was that seconded?
Allison Hayward.
Thank you, Allison. Okay. And so, I guess, I guess, a couple options. We could either try to take a vote on this today, and JD, are you still, or?
Right. So I pulled my nomination from the group, although still very supportive of how I can help the coaches in any way I can.
That leaves it between Carl and Jessica.
Yeah, so,
The question, go up to the, just a thought, if we go up to all the participants and just say who, and you can mention the name, how many people for Carl, how many people for Jessica, we can count those.
okay. All right. So I guess in terms of, deciding those votes, Robert made a point to consider, we can go down the list of members and we can ask, do a roll call for those who are present. So if you're primary, you'd say, if you're primary and you're present, you'd say, who do you like to vote for? And then if you're as the alternate in place of the primary, you'd speak up in this matter. So, and that, with that being said, this would be like a roll call vote. You'd say who you're voting for. Would that process be okay with y'all? Or do y'all anybody have opposition to this?
I just don't want anyone to feel bad when they don't get voted for.
If I could say, this is Carl Bradley here. I wanted to just make sure that it was I guess that there was a chance for people to have a different, to have more than just a single choice. Although I think that Jessica would do a very excellent job. I didn't want in the last meeting, Lydia sort of put my name forward, which I was honored by. Although I feel like Jessica's previous experience as the co-chair and her professional and personal stake in this work make her a better candidate than myself. And so if we could, kind of speed things along, I can, I guess if there's anybody that wouldn't want to vote for Jessica, that'd be maybe another way to do it. And we can go from there. Joey, if you have a feeling about it.
Okay. All right, Carl, just,
In that case, why don't we entertain a motion for Jessica Brunson to be a co-chair of the ATAC?
Second.
or any motions, I guess.
Did we already have a motion?
Had a motion.
To approve the nominee.
Approve the nominee, that was part one, this is part two.
Yeah.
Now.
So I guess, Carl, were you making the first motion?
Yeah, I motion to elect Jessica Brunson as the bicycling co-chair.
Second.
Who's second, so we can record it?
Karen Bishop.
Okay,
Thank you, Karen.
Yep.
All right. Just for clarification, Robert will be finished overseeing today's meeting, and Jessica will be chairing the next meeting. So according to our bylaws, they will alternate chairing the meetings. So Robert, we'll let you go ahead and finish today's meeting. And move on from there.
Since we have a motion and a second for Jessica Brunson to be the co-chair of the ATAC committee, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Same for opposed. Okay, motion passes. So Jessica, welcome. You're going to be.
Congratulations to both.
Yeah. You wanted to say you abstained?
Thank you,
All right.
Carl, for those comments, and thank you, JD, for yours as well. Appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda is number 4. It's the approval of the previous meeting minutes of the February 9th meeting.
And there'll actually be meeting notes, you see.
Maybe notes.
We didn't have that.
Okay, and if everybody's had a chance to review it, we'll entertain a motion unless there's some corrections or modifications made to the notes by any committee member that's said, I don't understand this. So if there's any changes or modifications, speak up, or let's entertain a motion and a second for approval.
This is Allison Hayward, and I motion that we approve the meeting notes.
This is Lyle, and I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the meeting notes of February the 9th, All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign for if you don't approve it. Okay, motion passes. Next item on the agenda is item number 5, a discussion and appropriate action on the selection of the ATAC logo, and Joey's going to present that.
All right, thank you, Robert. So, building off of last month, once again, thank you all for your participation in helping select the logo options that we provided to you all. So, once again, February meeting, we presented logo options to you all. The members voted at the February 9th meeting and came out with the one with the most votes, which is option number 1 here. And we know that there were some suggestions on maybe modifying it some, so we went back and changed it some. And the next slide, I'll be showing you some different versions here. So we've got 3 different options here, and we're going to do a similar process as we had done last time. And we're going to so I'll be pulling up. So members online, if you have access to your email, we're sending an email to you with the polling link. And members here, we have some papers here on hand. So once again, if you are a primary member, like similar to the voting, go ahead and give your vote. If you're here as an alternate in place of your member, go ahead and provide your vote. So once again, let us know if you have any issues on your end, and yeah, I'll go ahead and pull up the. One second. So, yeah, once again, those online, you should have a link to go ahead and access the polling link. And those here at the MPO office, you have a paper with the MNC link.
Joey, I don't have any choices. I know it's getting a little late for edits, but I really can't tell what the first box is unless I get really close.
Okay, that's what these are, yeah.
Yeah.
The one that's the transit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Any way we can get the bus the same brightness as the others? It's a whole lot less prominent.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that just because I'm from Via, but I kind of am. So.
No, yeah, I totally get that. We can definitely make that edit.
That's good.
Thank you.
And Joey, this is Debbie with the Disability Access Office. I have a comment about that one square that's got the wheelchair user in it.
Yeah.
Can you make that more of an active independent user? It looks like someone's pushing the wheelchair in that icon, and I'd like to really see as someone who's maybe using the wheelchair independently and is kind of has more of an action to it.
Yeah, I totally understand you. We can make sure that we can make that edit.
Okay, thank you.
Joey, I don't know if you saw my comment in the chat. I'm not a big fan of obviously of the scooter or use of that. I liked all the other images, but yeah, other than that, everything else looks okay.
Bert, this is Robert. You don't care for the scooter?
You got it.
Okay.
I mean, and I don't mean nothing really. The numbers are just too small in terms of reflecting how much usage.
You can separate the active wheelchair and then put a person walking in the other one.
That would be fine, yeah. But the studio, I mean, if there was more numbers, more activity, yeah.
We can consider that. We'll make the change for the bus, make it more pronounced. make it more visible, add some contrast to the image there. We will make sure that the image displaying the person in the wheelchair, make sure that, showing that this person is fully enabled, that they're able to get around in their wheelchair independently. And again, I guess maybe it's not, since we do have one, person that's a micromobility user of a bike, we could consider moving the person's walking, because this person's a scooter rider, just so maybe have too many boxes would be too small at that point. So I think it makes sense. We have a bus, we have transit, we use the bike as the micromobility user, and then have folks walking, and then we'll make the box with the wheelchair user solo by themselves.
Joey, let me say this. Obviously, option 2 is one of the most, and if the committee members will allow Joey and the MPO here to make those improvements to the graphics, we give you that leeway to do that. Obviously, you'll bring it back updated, but I think we can, with number option 2, we can go ahead and accept the design with some modifications to the individual graphics.
Yes, definitely. So that's the goal here. So hopefully, if everybody has voted, fantastic. If not, please go ahead and cast your votes. So as Robert mentioned, cast your votes. The one with the most votes, or majority, we will accept. But as I mentioned, we will make those edits that I had just mentioned. And so once again, this is something that's going to go on our website. It's going to go on our letterhead, on your meeting minutes, the agenda, things like that. It will go in that spot. So just it's something to show what ATAC is. Obviously, you want us to use the symbols and the buses, the individuals using the active transportation forms to represent that. I wrote some koozies and stuff, but we'll see about that. But, so in that case, so we have 10 votes for the option 2, 6 for the option 3. So no one's at 4 right now. Option 2 is the winner, or has the most votes in this matter. I'm going to switch back to the slides just to go through the formalities of this.
So, Joey, item 5 is discussion and appropriate action. So, to allow the Alamo area MPO to move forward with the vote, we just need to take a motion and a second to accept what was presented and discussed.
And we can make an amendment to make those changes.
And make amendments. So anyway, the committee will entertain a motion and a second to proceed on with option 2 plus amendments.
And Robert made the motion to go with that format in option 2.
Thank you, Bert.
A second.
I have a second. Bert has a motion from Bert Patel and a second from Darcy Chappelle. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, is there any opposed, any no's that can be recorded in the meeting notes? If not, the motion passes. Next item on the agenda is item 6, discussion and appropriate action on the Technical Advisory Committee representatives from ATAC. Joey?
All right, thank you, Robert. So once again, this is brought up at your last meeting, another formality with getting ATAC set up here. So thank you all for bearing with us and going through all these procedures here to make sure everything is all set up and good to go. So once again, according to our bylaws and tax bylaws, so once again, this is the Technical Advisory Committee of the MPO, our TAC. And so ATAC will designate 2 representatives and, of course, alternates for those members who serve on the voting membership of the MPO's Technical Advisory Committee. So we'll go through formality of things. The designation will be recorded in our minutes to show who is nominated to TAC to represent ATAC. So previously, just for previous record here, Elda Precioso and Robert Hanley served on TAC as representatives of BMAC and TMAC respectively. And so today you'll have an opportunity to discuss candidates to serve on TAC as representatives of ATAC. They confirm the final candidates for TAC. So I know one thing that was suggested at the last meeting to possibly since we have two co-chairs, there is it was discussed last time that maybe the co-chairs could serve on TAC as representatives of ATAC. So then that was one option that was suggested last time. And so,
Just for history, and some of you all probably know that, is that when TAC was formed and when BMAC and PMAC actually had a representative on there, a voting representative on TAC, it was very important for both of the committees. Now that we're the Active Transportation Advisory Committee, it should be, but we also, not only did we have the chair of the BMAC and the PMAC, members of the TAC, but we also had alternates in case we couldn't attend.
DMAC couldn't be the chair because she served on the policy board.
Yes. But based on that, we'd like to have, I think, that for Jessica and myself to be the primary members, but we also need alternates if somebody wants to step up. I think I made probably 85 or 90% of those TAC meetings, and I did have an alternate that filled in some periodically. So I think that's the way. My recommendation is that we have the two members, the bicycle discipline and the pedestrian discipline on the TAC, and then have alternates for that. Does the bylaws allow that, Joey?
They do allow that. Okay. So, of course, we're open to discussion too. I think Amherst might mention something, but Darcy, I think, has comments on this discussion as well.
Yeah, and this is, so it could be, if it were me, if it were Jessica, if it were anyone that were representing a public entity, is that you felt like you could use your role independently of the public entity. So my concern is if the public entity was choosing a path that was not consistent with ATAC, would you feel comfortable voting against that entity at a PAC meeting? So that's just something that I put out there as something to think about.
Yeah. Let me just add on to that, Darcy. There are a lot of engineers on TAC that represent various things. Their planning department, their transportation department, they represent that entity. As representatives of the Active Transportation Advisory Committee, we represent ATAC. I don't represent the architectural profession, and you're not representing the city of San Antonio at those times when you have opinions. So that's what Darcy's trying to address, and I agree with her. Any questions?
Do we have any questions or comments from the online community? Or the virtual community?
Nothing here.
No questions.
Okay. Yeah. So, on the alternates, I think what we need to do is send, if you have somebody that they're recommended, this is my opinion, Jessica, send them to Joey and let Joey bring them back to this committee, because the first 2 or 3 TAC meetings, you and I will be there. And then there'll be, sometimes you can't make it or I can't make it. It gives us a little time to do that. You agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Based on the discussion we had with Jessica and myself being the primary representatives at the Alamo area NPO TAC meetings, I'd like to entertain a motion that the committee approves that, with also the addition of committee members can submit, if they're interested in being an alternate to Joey here at the NPO, and at a subsequent ATAC meeting, we can vote on those alternates. And if that's acceptable, I'll entertain a motion in a second.
I'd like to motion
Okay.
that
Who is that?
this is Patricia Franco with VIA, or I'm sorry,
Okay.
with the ATV rep.
So we have a motion by Patricia and a second by Lauren. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Same
Aye.
sign for no. Okay, that motion carries. Thank you very much. Yes, yeah. Okay, next item on the agenda is item number 7, presentation on the active transportation plan inventory. Are you doing this, Darcy?
No. So, no, that's remote. Sorry.
So you person face to face.
Hello. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Noah.
All right. Thanks for inviting me. My name's Noah Heath. I work with TxDOT's Public Transportation Division in the Bicycle and Pedestrian section. And today I'll be presenting about a tool that we are rolling out that we're very excited about, and we hope a lot of local entities will find useful throughout Texas. So the tool that I'll be presenting about is the Texas Active Transportation Plan Inventory. It's a map-based central repository for bicycle, pedestrian, or any other form of human-powered non-motorized transportation, micromobility, ADA transition plans. The tool, the goals of this inventory is to provide a centralized inventory of active transportation plans across Texas, enable easy access to active transportation plans for engineers or the general public, increase collaboration and coordination among planning professionals, and to facilitate the development of safe bicycle and pedestrian networks. And this idea came out of a effort that TxDOT has recently concluded, which was an effort to modernize the bikeway design for bikeways facilities at TxDOT. We're worked on this effort with our Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and part of that was to identify areas within TxDOT's traditional development process to better consider bicycle and pedestrian needs and facilities whenever we're scoping projects or whenever projects were being scoped. And so one of the recommendations was, wouldn't it be nice to have a centralized location to easily identify all of the local plans for that area, especially when it came to bicycle and pedestrian plans or active transportation plans. And so that kind of started the idea, and the tool has evolved over time. We worked with an advisory group. Joey was on that advisory group and helped us as we were developing the tool, and as the consultant was developing the tool, to make sure that it was useful for everyone. And I'll quickly pull up the landing page for the tool, and I'll go ahead and add this to the chat after my presentation, but I wanted to demonstrate how the tool works because the way that the tool will be successful is if local governments submit their plans into the inventory. So I'll start off by showing the submission portal that is part of the tool. And so you'll be able to go to a link and it'll bring up some general instructions to begin with. There's a user guide link as well, so you can read how to enter your plan into the tool. But it's pretty straightforward. You can select your community, and it brings up some existing boundaries for that area. You know, if your plan covers Llano County, you can select that boundary. If it's the city of Llano, you can select that, or the Austin TxDOT district. You can also draw a custom boundary. So we want to be able to capture small area plans, corridor plans, anything with a unique boundary that may not be a governmental boundary. So we'll just, for example, select City of Alamo. It automatically populates the entity name. You would enter the department contact information. This contact information would be internal to TxDOT. We wouldn't share this with the public, but we want to be able to contact someone at the entity if there's any questions about their plan, submittal, or need for additional information. Also, we will email submitters, annually to ask them to update any of their plan information.
Sorry to interrupt, but judging by your mouse, you're not looking at the PowerPoint, which is what I see. I see a PowerPoint that says demonstration on top. Is that what you're demoing right now?
I apologize. I haven't used WebEx for a while, so I probably need to reshare. Thanks for interrupting, because I want to make sure y'all can see what I'm looking at.
I think you should either just have to like share your computer screen or share your web application.
Okay.
Okay, now we can see it.
Okay. I apologize for that, and thanks for jumping in and getting me on track. But I can jump back out. So what I did was, like I said, I'll share this link with in the chat after my presentation. There's a link to the tool, which I'll show after I show how to submit a plan. There's a link to the plan submittal portal, which you can go to and select the community. You can select what type of community, is this the county, the TxDOT district, or the city? These are existing boundaries. If you want to custom draw your boundary, you can do that as well. And then there's information that you would enter about your active transportation plan. Like I was saying, there's contact information that would be used internally at TxDOT, but would not be available for the public. You would put the plan name, the URL, and that's the main access for the tool. So if someone wants to access your tool, they would need that URL, the year it was adopted. If you have GIS data related to the tool, either GIS files or a interactive GIS map, you can include that URL, a description of your plan. It's like a master transportation plan, and the active transportation portion or the bike ped portion or specific pages, we would ask that you include those specific pages. Any tags or keywords about your plan, because in the inventory, there's an option to search plans by keywords, and then the various modes that are covered. You would submit your plan, and then TxDOT PTN will review and validate the plan, and then the plan will be available once we validate it on the active transportation plan inventory. And so this inventory, we started this off as a pilot in the Austin district, and so we have a few plans that were submitted within the Austin district, and you can zoom in, select plans that are on the left of the screen. And then you get more detail, the description of the plan, and then you can click to visit the plan website, basically. You can also, if you were working on a project and you wanted to identify all of the plans within your project limits, you could draw this and it'll filter by your project boundaries. And so it brings up the plans within that boundary. You could select it and then visit the plan. You can also filter by mode or entity and also size. So it's hard to see some of the smaller area plans whenever you have these larger plans that overlap. So you can do that, and then smaller plans pop up. There's a corridor plan. You can search plans by keywords. So that's just a quick overview. And we're hoping that you'll be interested in submitting your plan. We think this will be a benefit, and the way that it could benefit your organization is that roadway designers will have easy access to your community's vision for building bike and ped infrastructure and networks. Planning professionals can easily find examples of different types of active transportation plans. So we think this will be a great opportunity to share plans throughout the state. So when local communities are developing their active transportation plans, they'll have plenty of examples to look at. By submitting your plan, there'll be awareness amongst many organizations, and so we hope this facilitates collaboration. And especially when communities abut or plans overlap, or different governmental entities have jurisdiction in the same area, being able to access everyone's sort of vision for that area will help with collaboration and integrating transportation networks. And then local and regional entities can benchmark against their peers. The more plans in the inventory, the greater, more useful this tool will be. So we encourage everyone that has an active transportation plan to submit it into this inventory. And then, with the more plans, the more benefit for developing safe and more sustainable transportation networks in Texas. So you can help us by uploading your agency's active transportation plan. We'll be sending out an email. We have a database of local government contacts that we will be sending out an email to request a submission of plans and sort of roll the tool out. That'll be coming here in the next week or so. But if you know of entities that have active transportation plans, if you could forward the emails along, that would be great. And then like I said, we'll be contacting submitters every year or so to ask them to keep their plan information up to date. Are there any questions?
No, this is Carl Redmiller with Gisela Cycling. I'm over on the TxDOT website right now, and there's the handy drop down that says, what is active transportation? And TxDOT defines active transportation as human-powered, non-motorized transportation, which is different than the DOT. And on the DOT, definition, they specifically lump public transportation in there. And so I'm wondering if, this is also meant to have the public transportation plans in there, obviously coordinating pedestrian and bike infrastructure with public transit, will pay dividends. Is that outside the scope of this, or is that an oversight?
I think that would be outside of the scope of this tool and scale of this tool. We really wanted to focus on pedestrian, bicycle, micromobility, ADA transition, anything that was non-motorized. So the definition that we have outlined on our website is a little different than and FHWA and other entities, it's kind of a, depending on the organization, that they may have a slightly different definition. So this would not include public transportation plans. We wanted to make sure that we were capturing plans that in the past may have been overlooked because of other larger efforts in the area. And I think the conception of the tool was focused on the non-motorized plans.
Joey, this is Brandon. I've got a question.
Yeah,
I went on the website the other day, the MPO website, and the last date that I saw for the bike master plan was 2011. Has there been something done since then, or is that literally the last version of it?
Are you asking about the San Antonio bike master plan?
Yeah.
That's the last official bike master plan. Jessica's sitting right here. Can you provide any other details of the bike master plan?
Yeah, so the last one was the 2011 one. That was the latest one. And then currently it's out for bid for the new bike network plan.
Okay, that's good. Well, a lot's happened since 2011, so it's good that we're going to do that. And also, with the upcoming 2022 bond with San Antonio's Creeks and Tails program, that includes $83 million worth of, and actually it's more than that. It's more like over $100 million worth of off-street trails. There's going to be a lot more bike facilities coming online, so it'll be good to capture those things. We may need to even plan on another update once those are built in about 2027, 28.
I think that's the nice thing about this is that we'll be able to upload it as things happen. So as plans are updated, you can remove old things and add new things. So I think that's the benefit of it.
I have a question for Noah. Will there, since ours is 2011, will there be an archive for older plans so people can look at, what was and what is to come, or what is becoming?
I think we would want the tool to have the most up-to-date plan for that area. So we think of it as a sort of historic record. And as you can see, like uploading PDFs or anything like that and cataloging the plans, we're really providing an inventory or a list of plans with links to the where the plans are actually located. So you could theoretically add multiple plans for the same entity if you wanted to have that historic record in the tool, but you would have to have separate URLs for each of those plans. So I think we want to make sure that whenever project managers are scoping projects or developing projects, that they have the most up-to-date vision for that community. So I think, we would want that up-to-date information in the inventory.
And I have another question as far as active transportation plans. I know some things are being privatized, or certain entities like ours, maybe the Centro or somebody like that, might take into their own hands of different types of plans, or scooter plans like that might be privatized. Will those be able to be included on this map as well?
We haven't, we want to be able to provide a tool that entities, there's a validation process, so we'll have an opportunity to review the plan before we validate and include it on the inventory. We thought of it as a tool for local governments and nonprofits and various agencies, universities, all of these entities would be able to submit their plans. I think we could include private companies' plans, like a scooter company, for example, but we want a plan that has been through the sort of community process and is a representation of that community's vision. And so I would have to look at those on a case-by-case basis to make sure that they're not sort of a plan outside of the local community's desire or differing from the vision of the local community.
And this is my last one. As far as like all these plans are, I know we could probably benefit from learning each other and different types of plans. Will there be like a Texas active transportation plan inventory meeting about all this, or like an update that you all do, like maybe quarterly or something like that?
We do plan to send out communications with all of the submitters on a regular basis. We don't want to bombard people with emails, so it won't be probably wouldn't be quarterly. And we also planning to present this tool at conferences and at active transportation committee meetings, so we can definitely present on a regular basis. We haven't thought about potentially having like a sort of workshop or meeting with all of the submitters, but that's a good idea that I'll make a note of. And as we move forward, that could be a great opportunity for collaboration and to get feedback from users of the tool.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. This is Katie, so kind of follow up Jessica's comment. So as far as the archiving, I'm just wondering, like, the archiving of the historical, is that going to could live on like the MPO or the city transportation website? Is, just kind of the question to the group on that. And then second to that, on this last one about updates and things, I think it would be really important for ATAC to be on that agenda for presentations on a whatever regular basis, so that we can keep apprised of any particular issues or things that we need to vote on or maybe go after and concentrate on. So that's just my recommendation on those two comments.
Are there any more comments? This is a presentation information item. It's not any action. But if there's any more comments today, or now is the time to ask the questions of Noah. So, anybody else?
Just want to ask that too. I know Noah mentioned also part of the advisory group. It was really exciting to learn, especially as my working active transportation role. Sometimes like, where do I find everybody's plans? Where can we reference all this information? So I think this is really exciting to see, especially as somebody working in the public sector, but I'm sure like Noah had mentioned too, project managers working for consultants may be able to access this information. So I think this is a really exciting tool, and if you're part of our study area and have not already submitted your active transportation plans, be sure to do that. So we can check out, plans within our region, plans across the state, and it can be great. Seems like a great tool initially, so definitely looking forward to all the content that comes from there. Thanks again, Noah.
Hey, this is Bill Hill. Can I make a comment?
Sure, go ahead.
So I'm new to the committees, and I think that a lot of people are new to the combination of the committees. And I'm looking at the purpose of the ATAC and so forth, and related to the presentation that was just done, which is an ability to input projects and to see what's going on. My basic question is, kind of related to Brandon Ross's point, is there a master plan for bikes? In other words, here's where all the bike lanes are, and here's where the bike paths are in the region of we're supposed to be doing. And then what are the planned ones that have already been funded? And then, is there a master plan that then says, here's what we're going to prioritize next? And then the same thing with pedestrian walkways. Where are the sidewalks? Are those pedestrian walkways in some sort of a master plan? I mean, if we're looking at the bullets which are in the purpose statement for the ATAC, if we don't have an understanding of what is the current inventory and what is being funded and what are the priority needs are, how are we to advise and make recommendations and develop active transportation models if we can't see ourselves? First, we got to be able to see ourselves, and related to that, and I've shared this with Joey, is, in the paper on the 7th of March, 2 pedestrians were killed overnight in San Antonio. All right. And then on the 8th, man critically hurt in hit and run. And I read the paper almost every day. There's almost 2 or 3 of these a week. And so my question is, do we track safety statistics of where pedestrians are getting hit in the streets? And is there something that those statistics can tell us that would then help prioritize where we want to put safety measures in for pedestrian? Same thing with bikes. We could do the same thing with the bikes. But, my problem is I can't see, I don't have a big picture of what this committee, what are the pedestrian and the bike assets and footprints out there at this point in time?
Definitely. So I can give a response or provide a response to that, Bill. Definitely all very valid questions, especially, folks who are new to the committee. For the next meeting, I'll try to maybe provide an overview of some of the things that have been done, at least for the MPO, maybe locally, and as far as maybe local cities and things that have been done. Obviously, it's kind of hard to compile things like this active transportation inventory tool. Are great for that, but I can at least provide information about what the MPO has done in the past. I know we definitely need to update some of our studies. We've created a bike and pedestrian regional study previously. We've created a pedestrian safety action plan here at the MPO. That was back in the early 2010s, I believe, or 2011. So we've done a few things, but you're right. Looking at a comprehensive picture of where things are at. MPO, we have tools for that too, which we need to update. We rely on our partners to provide us information, the data on where bike infrastructure, pedestrian infrastructure is at. Currently, it's easier to collect bike infrastructure data. I know it's harder to collect the pedestrian sidewalk data. I think a lot of us are still working on the best mechanism to collect and display that. But you're right. I know, we need to, maybe start. We haven't had a refresh in a while, especially for those who've been on the committee, where we're at in terms of what's going on. And I did see your email. Didn't have time to squeeze that in today, but for the safety conversation too, that is something that we should be talking about. Or we've talked about, especially in creating ATAC as the conversation of safety, which is something we talk about regularly, and that's a big part in how we fund our projects, or how we assess our projects that are submitted to us for funding. We definitely look at safety as a huge consideration, but obviously implementing the safety piece is done by agencies, cities, counties, TxDOT, et cetera, too. So it's all big web sometimes of things going on. So I'll try to maybe in the next agenda item for the next meeting, try to maybe put something on, try to simplify some of that or provide an update. But definitely very valid comments and questions.
You didn't answer Bill's question about capturing crash data.
So crash data, MPO, I know a lot of our partner agencies collect and look at that information. The MPO, we do have a couple of crash tools on our website. We definitely collect that on a semi-regular basis. Just things like crash data, we can't just collect it the next day after the crash. We have to wait a little while, but we do have tools on that. We have data on that. I know some of our partners collect and analyze that data different ways as well. But that's something we can talk about. That's something we want to talk about for the May walk and bike night, and more details on that too later on. But yes, to the crash part, the safety conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I realize that if you're trying to gather information from Bexar County, Comal County, Guadalupe County, you got cities like Bernie, New Braunfels, San Antonio, Seguin, all the way through all the suburban cities. I mean, you probably can't build a map that shows all the sidewalks, but you can probably track pedestrian strikes and injuries. And then from there, maybe prioritize that. And I do agree that it's probably pretty easy. It's a lot easier to do bike trails and that stuff. But, and Brandon Ross and the trail system in San Antonio, well, surely San Antonio has people that track some of this stuff. And I don't know about big cities like New Braunfels, et cetera, but, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, so like, MDO, we track this information. The city of San Antonio, sorry, person I was talking to. I know the city of San Antonio has the Vision Zero program too. And I'm sure other areas collect and distribute that information as well. I guess couple of minutes on this student item, we'll move on. I think somebody else was making a comment though online. That's Deborah.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that the city of San Antonio does have that type of information. We have SPIA information, which is severe pedestrian injury and accident, as well as every city is going to have an inventory asset of their sidewalks. They may not have condition assessments attached to that inventory, but almost every agency is going to have at least the inventory of where they're laid. And so the condition assessments usually come with either field assessment or ADA transition plans. Mm-hmm. So we'll kind of talk about that more, but yeah.
So definitely we'll revisit those comments. So I'll once again say thank you to Noah and
Thank you, Noah.
Welcome.
Next item on the agenda is agenda item 8, presentation on the FHWA proven safety countermeasures. Ed Burgos Gomez, you're on.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, and you should be able to share your screen.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, that's what happens when you have like 3 mute buttons on your computer. So let me share my screen. I can share my presentation. Let me know when you can see it.
It's pulling up right now. There we go. I can see your screen now.
Awesome.
You see the, okay. If you're having issues, we can share it on our screen if not.
No, I think it's fine. It just, okay. I don't know why it kicked me out of full screen mode.
Okay. Showing a black screen right now. Yeah, okay,
see it now.
Your slide. Yeah.
Awesome. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ed Burgos. I'm with the Federal Highway Administration, the Texas Division. and today I'm going to be talking about the Proven Safety Countermeasures Initiative, the 2021 update. So let me give you a little bit of background on what are the Proven Safety Countermeasures and some of the history behind it. So Federal Highway, we launched the Proven Safety Countermeasures Initiative in 2008 as a collection of the countermeasures and strategies that are effective in reducing fatalities and serious injuries. Then we updated them on 2012, and then on 2017, the list expanded to around a total of 20 countermeasures. And last year, on 2021, we had the last update. So in order for a countermeasure to be selected, it had to meet a twofold criteria. First, it had to be proven effective. What this means is that the countermeasure is considered proven by its effectiveness in reducing fatal or serious injury crashes. How we usually measure this, or the effectiveness, is by the crash modification factors. If the crash modification factor decreases crashes, it will be less than 1, or if it increases crashes, it will be greater than 1. But it's important to know that not all the proven safety countermeasures that are not infrastructure-based, so those will not have a measurable crash reduction value, because these are considered proven because they kind of promote other techniques that are known to be effective in reducing fatalities and serious injuries. The second selection criteria is that it didn't have like a widespread deployment. So the intent is to encourage the widespread implementation by the state, the tribal, and local transportation agencies on these underutilized countermeasures. And if you look at the existing 28 proven safety countermeasures, and we fast forward to now, you can see that many of these are consistent with the themes that my agency, Federal Highway, emphasizes as our priorities. So, for example, these proven safety countermeasures emphasize complete streets, the safe system approach, speed management, equity, and climate. So this is a list of the existing proven safety countermeasures. This is a diverse list, and it aligns with the 4 Federal Highway safety focus areas, which are speed management, intersection, and roadway departure, which I'm going to be focusing on today's presentation on this last one, on the pedestrians and bicycle countermeasures. So these are the new ones, and I'm going to be talking today about rectangular rapid flashing beacons, or RRFBs, lightning at intersection or segment, bicycle lanes, and crosswalk visibility enhancement. So the first one, rectangular rapid flashing beacons, or RRFB. So if you look at a crosswalk, or if you have a crosswalk and it is marked, or if we have a pedestrian warning sign, yes, that can improve safety for pedestrians crossing the road. But at times, that might not be sufficient for drivers to visibly locate crossing locations and therefore yield to pedestrians. So to enhance the pedestrian visibility and to increase driver awareness at an uncontrolled marked location, what agencies can do is that they can install a pedestrian actuated rectangular rapid flashing beacon. And this will accompany the pedestrian or the school warning sign. It's important to note that these countermeasures shall only be used to supplement the mentioned post-mounted warning sign that I mentioned, that has the diagonal downward arrow, like you see on the picture. and the plaque. Also, these RRFBs are, like I mentioned, are pedestrian actuated, and these devices include 2 rectangular shaped amber indicators that will flash with a high frequency when these are activated. So this countermeasure, this is applicable to many types of pedestrian crossings, but these are very effective at multi-lane crossings where you have a speed limit less than 40 miles per hour. If you look at the effectiveness on the research, there are very slight reduction in crashes, but when these are installed, there is a much more significant reduction in vehicle pedestrian crashes, and the research shows about a 47 reduction in pedestrian crashes. The table that you see on the screen is like a table diagram. That comes from the Federal Highway Guide for Improving Pedestrian Safety and Uncontrolled Crossing Locations. So agencies can use this table if they know their roadway configuration, how many lanes do they have, and they have the ABT, and they have the miles per hour. Then they can assess that road and can determine if this countermeasure is a good opportunity for that location. So for more detail, what you would need are 2 RRFBs are required for any approach. One will be on the right side and one will be on the left-hand side of the roadway. If it is a divided highway, then the left-hand side should be installed on the median rather than the far left side of the road. How you configure it is that the flash meter shall immediately initiate each and every time a pedestrian is detected, and this can be the pedestrian can be detected through a passive detection or a push button. So the next ones are crosswalk visibility enhancement. So you have a road, and there are many different conditions that can reduce visibility at crosswalks, which will contribute to safety issues, such as poor lighting, roadway geometry, or parked cars. So there are 3 main crosswalk visibility enhancements that agencies can do that will help make crosswalks and the pedestrian using them more visible to drivers. This includes the high visibility crosswalks, and by high visibility crosswalks, I mean using patterns such as the bar pairs, the continental, or the ladder, which is more visible for pedestrians and drivers. And other visibility enhancements are signs and markings, and also lighting. So these enhancements can be used in combination to indicate preferred or optimal locations for people to cross, and also reinforce the driver requirement to yield the right-of-way to pedestrians at these crossing locations. So expanding more on the high visibility crosswalks, this should be considered at all mid-block and uncontrolled crossings. And also, when we talk about the marking of the crosswalk, this should also use inlay or what you call the thermoplastic tape instead of the more traditional paint or brick. And the research shows that you can have up to a 40% reduction in pedestrian injury crashes. I know that I have here lighting, but I will talk about lighting on one of the next countermeasures. So the advanced yield or stop it signage, this is another of the enhancements that you can use. And this includes the in-street or the advanced warning signage. You can also use your stop bars or the yield bars, which you may know as the shark teeth, which are shown in the picture. And this will indicate to drivers where they should stop to allow pedestrian crossings. And these signs and the paper markings, they may be appropriate for 2 to 3 lane roads with 30 mile per hour limit or less. for these countermeasures, if you remember the table that I showed you before, you can also use that table from that guidance from Federal Highway to determine if the location that you have, if this countermeasure is appropriate for that location. Next, we have bike lanes. So this is very self-explanatory, but I wanted to mention a couple of things here. Most fatal and serious injury bicycle crashes occur at non-intersection locations. So to improve safety for bicyclists, agencies can consider including bicycle lanes, which are dedicated facility for the use of bicyclists along the roadway, adjacent to motorized vehicles. In addition to the paint stripe, which is like the most common bicycle lane that we see, a lateral offset with a painted buffer can help you to further separate bicyclists from vehicle traffic. And it's also encouraged a physical separation of the bicycle lane from the motorized traffic. That can be using elements like posts, curbs, or vegetation. If you talk about the effectiveness, the study shows that on-road bicycle lanes can reduce total crashes on undivided collectors up to 57% of crashes on 4-lane roads and at 30% on 2-lane roads. Now, the last kind of measure that I'll be talking today is lightning. Even though this kind of measure is not categorized under pedestrian or bicyclist, is a countermeasure that we call a cross-cutting because it can apply to different scenarios, not only pedestrians. So we all know that walking or driving on a roadway is less safe in darkness than in a lighted area, obviously because of the reduced visibility or hazards to pedestrians. Also, it's very important to note that although the number of fatal crashes that occur at daylight is about the same as those that occur in darkness, only 25% of the vehicles miles traveled occur at night. So because of that, we can say that the nighttime fatality rate is 3 times the daytime rate. So at night, vehicles are traveling at higher speeds. They may not have the ability to stop once a hazard or a change in the road alignment ahead. If we talk about the effectiveness, research shows that applying lightning at intersections can reduce crashes up to 42%, in pedestrian crashes at intersections and 38% for nighttime crashes at rural or urban intersections. Also, make a note that Federal Highway, we are anticipating on releasing a pedestrian lightning user guide later this year. So whenever we release that, I'll be sure to share it with Joey and the ATAC group. So now I'm going to be talking about the new proven safety countermeasure resources that we have on our website. So our website has received an updated look and kind of branding, but it retained the icons from the past. Now that the initiative has 28 countermeasures, you can better organize the proven safety countermeasures to help users find the right solution for their issues. For example, there's a new filter tool. This filter tool will allow users to type in keywords in the search bar, and then the website will return the proven safety countermeasures that contain that keyword. And also, the proven safety countermeasure website, it also has our booklet. There's a booklet with all the fact sheets for all these countermeasures. On those sheets, you will see the like an estimated cost, what the research shows on the reduction of crashes, and many other information that will be appropriate if you want to explore more about these countermeasures. So that's it for my presentation. If anybody wants more information on these countermeasures, I can send you the link to our webpage, or I can also, if you're interested in a specific countermeasure, I can email you the fact sheet directly to you.
Hey, Ed, I've got a question.
Yes.
So I noticed that the crash prevention rates for bicycle lanes on a 4-lane road looks a lot better than on a 2-lane road. I thought it was going to be the opposite. Do you know why that's the case?
I do not. I might need to look at the research that says that. I can follow up with you on that.
Okay. I'll hold you to it.
Are there any follow-up questions for Ed from any of the committee members?
Ed, I'd like to get a copy of that with your contact information. This is Brandon Ross. I can put my email address in the chat box if you can see it.
Yes, I can.
Ed, this is Robert Hanley. If you give the contact or the link information and you forward it to Joey, you already have it?
Yes, yours.
Okay, then let Joey distribute it to all the ATAC committee members, Brandon.
Right.
That sounds good.
We can do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. If there's no more follow-up questions on that, Ed, thank you very much for your presentation. It was well received. Okay, there's no action on that one. The next item on the agenda is number 9, presentation on the Alamo Area Bike Month activities. Joey.
All right, y'all. So I mentioned this last time, and I mentioned it, didn't get a chance to go through the slides the last time. So to formally present it, bike month information to our committee members. I know some of y'all are new to this as well, so we're excited to show you some information about Bike Month, which is in May every year. So talk a little about the calendar events that we have currently scheduled: our Bike Month Challenge, Bike Passport, Bike Sport Day, street sales classes, and another Bike Month partner meeting, and where can you find additional details. So preliminarily, I know this doesn't capture all the events so far. I need to follow up with some folks and gather some more dates here, but preliminarily, at least this is what our bread and butter is almost every year, essentially. So from May 1st to the 31st, that actually is the month of Bike Month. So Bike Month is the entire month of May every single year. So at the MPO, we usually have a couple of programs. Our main program usually is our Bike Month Challenge. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on, as well as the Bike Passport, something new we're working on for this year. And on May 4th, it's Bike and Roll to School Day. It's in the past just referred to as Bike to School Day, but I noticed that the national organizers have relabeled it Bike and Roll Day. So encouraging children from maybe kindergarten all the way up to college students to give cycling to school or rolling on a scooter to school a shot. We also have Bike Work Week. So that is this year from May 16th to the 20th. And on May 20th is Bike Work Day, at the end of the Bike Work Week. So our Bike Month Challenge, some of y'all are familiar with this. You've seen some of our Bike Month information in the past. But our Bike Month Challenge is coordinated through our Alamo Commutes program. So that's our Smart Commutes program we have here at the NPO. And so the focus is to log any bike trip. So that can be whether you're biking to work, so that's, logging a trip from point A to point B, or maybe you're taking a recreational ride. And so logging any trip in the Alamo Commutes app, and you can have a chance to win close to $500. And so one of our things this year is, can the Alamo area collectively ride around the state of Texas, which is about 3,800 miles. So I guess more details about this too, but if you're not familiar with things like the Alamo Commutes app, it's super easy to use. If you're already using things like Strava or Map My Ride or something like that, you can easily sync your trips from those apps with the Alamo Commutes app. So for instance, when I ride my bike and log my trip with Strava, it automatically syncs with the Alamo Commutes app. So it's super easy, super effortless. It's something you're already doing, and you can win cash prizes for it too. So you all can win prizes. I can't. I'm an MPO, so I'm an MPO staffer, but you all should be doing this so you can win some prizes. So also, Eric, our new transportation planner, is working on bike passport ideas, and so we're focusing on different areas. So for instance, like downtown San Antonio, like the northeast area, New Braunfels, kind of like a localized, almost like it's kind of like bike passports, so getting a stamp at different locations, different businesses. Like we did a scavenger hunt a couple of bike months past, and so something similar to that. So you're getting like stamping off some places that you've been to on a bike, and so there's also different rewards you can receive as part of it. So more details on that coming up soon. And so our big hallmark event, Bike Work Day, takes place on May 20th this year. So typically in the past, if you're not familiar, the way we celebrate Bike Month, or in this case, Bike to Work Day in our region, we've been coordinating what we call locally energizer stations. So essentially, a group will volunteer to host a station, and so you will coordinate with folks to maybe get some breakfast donated. So we have maybe some breakfast, give some high fives to cyclists ready to work that day. And so basically, it's a good way to encourage folks to bike to work that morning. And also, it's a way for those who are already biking to work, give them high fives as well. So thank you for keep on biking to work. That's like a brief overview of what Bike to Work Day is. At those energizer stations, like I said, those stations will pass out things like a light breakfast, maybe like a taco or something. Typically we have a goodie bag or some stuff in there. And sometimes these energizer stations will maybe have like a yoga station set up or some fun games or something set up at their station. So the fun will vary at varying different stations depending on the host. This year we hope to have 10 to 15 energizer stations in the study area. So going back to like 2019 was when we had both stations. We're hoping to get back to that, maybe more. 2020, of course, the pandemic hit, so we had virtual Bike to Work Day that year. 2021, we had 3 last year, so we're kind of crawling back last year, so hopefully we'll have more this year. And more details will be announced on the Bike Month website. I realize I should have included the link to the Bike to Work Day link or the webpage, but we also have individual web pages for these events. So Bike to Work Day, there's a web page for that on our Bike Month website. I'll show the link towards the end. You can also register to host a station there on that web page. So also we have our street skills classes. So if you're not familiar with these are our bike safety classes. We talk about how to stay safe on the bike, especially in cases where trying to avoid crashes. Like what laws you should know as a cyclist. So what are your local laws here in San Antonio, New Braunfels, our study area, those types of areas, and the state of Texas. And a little bit more in this class. As a part of this class, you also receive a free helmet and a light set. I suppose virtual, that's just a in-person class. We're doing these classes in person. Currently we have 2 classes scheduled in May. We're open to scheduling more in the month of May. So talk to me to set up a street skills class in your community, so like a class that's open to the general public. And when we also have our Alamo Commutes street skills classes, so if you're an employer or if you work for somebody or you know somebody who should have a street skills class at their office, we can take that street skills class to your office, take those comments and likes, and help maybe get your coworkers or somebody you know get informed about how to stay safer on a bike and local laws. For our next Bike Month Partner meeting, I know I have some catching up to do with some emails too from some folks in the last meeting, some more details on that about Bike Month. But we have our next Bike Month Partner meeting on March 17th at 1 p.m. at the MPO office or online. And so we'll talk more about what to expect for this, focus on the Bike to Work Day stations, or Bike to Work Day and intersection stations, but also other things in Bike Month, to learn about what you're doing so we can try to share this information with everybody and try to be a central source of information for Bike Month in our region. And I'll share a meeting invite with all our ATAC members. As I mentioned, we also have a webpage. So working on some updates to this, but go to alamoareampo.org/Bike Month. Find some basic information. I'd still like to we wanted to provide some more resources, like in the past, different cities or counties have had resolutions for Bike Month and Bike to Work Day. So I need to still try to get a template up on the website. So I know in the past, the city of San Antonio, Bexar County, the city of New Braunfels have had resolutions. So it'd be great to have this conversation and recognition in more places throughout our study area. So that's one thing I need to put on our website. And if not, I'll share that template with everybody on ATAC, so you can hopefully get a resolution passed in your own community talking about, recognizing Bike Month and Bike to Work Day. So that concludes this information. Does anybody have any preliminary questions about Bike Month?
So Bert put a comment to everyone, some info to share.
Okay, great. Thank you, Bert. Comment here. Yeah, Bert mentioned in the chat that people via Smith on 27th of March here in San Antonio. Actually, you'll be running right here in front of our office, going from the Cesar Chavez and Florida down to the Roosevelt Park. Sorry? Yes. I think we'll be able to start.
Starting in Florida.
HEB over there.
Yeah,
Right.
across and then comes down.
So, thanks for that update. We'll also be talking about Bike Month there, and I know, Bert, you have information about Mayor's City Council, so thanks for that heads up. Does anybody have any other questions or comments? If not, like I said, I know we have talking about a lot of stuff today, almost 5 o'clock, we're probably, let's get out of here. So I'll share this information with you via email later on.
Hey Joey, this is Carl again. As it relates to future agenda items, I know last time we met, everybody was busy kind of getting the ATAC set up. I think this committee would be remiss if it didn't get have some in-depth discussion on the state of affairs of Broadway. So I would like to get that on out in the ether for future agenda items. I personally would like to see some kind of input from TxDOT. Maybe Darcy, you can, maybe you know somebody who would be the appropriate person to provide some input about what kind of safety considerations TxDOT was taking into account when they decided that the current, that the previous plan for lane reduction was, not feasible. I'd like to know what kinds of safety considerations were at play when that decision was made.
Thanks, Carl. I'll work with TxDOT and see if, TxDOT and the City of San Antonio, if we can have an update at a future meeting. You're supposed to keep this here. That was Robert's suggestion. So I guess that moves us into
Agenda item number 10 is announcements and future agenda items. And anybody has anything? Go ahead.
If I can start going up first, so some things that I included one thing on here. We have our next in-person street skills class on March 17th at 6 p.m. here at the MPO office. So If you have anybody who's interested in some more bike safety tips and a free helmet light set, let them know. Registration is live, so let's see it here. Next meeting is scheduled for April 13th, same time at 3 p.m. And we'll make sure to get a recurring meeting invite out to you all, so you'll have that on your calendars from now on. We'll make sure that happens. So a couple of days we talked about, we're working on our long-range transportation plan, getting feedback on that. So talk about that a little bit in the next meeting. Also got confirmation from Darcy earlier that talking about information from the bike meeting that happened last year. And so talking about some of the data that's collected from there. So, and more things, and I'll try to put a presentation together talking about some of the things we're doing at the MPO regarding active transportation plans and studies, et cetera. So beyond that too, if you haven't completed your Open Meetings Act certification, please go ahead and do that. Also, if you haven't appointed an alternate for your position, please email me about who your alternate will be. And so also, I think I saw one of the comments in the survey about past meeting information. So all past meeting information is available on our ATAC webpage on our MPO website. And so you'll find information on there. And we're starting something new with ATAC. We're uploading all of our prior meeting videos to YouTube. So you'll have a video content on YouTube as well. So it's trying to make it easier to access some of this information. So all previous meeting content, presentations, et cetera, and video are available on our website. Again, on May 11th, for Walking Bike Night, we're going to try to have a focus on safety at that night. So safety, which also includes things like crashes as well. And I think it was brought up at one of the last meeting. We're also going to have name cards for folks here. So you don't know somebody at the table, and you're here present at the meeting, you know who the person is sitting across from you. So a couple of updates on that. Working to make sure that ATAC is, 100% up and running. So we're getting there. Does anybody else have any updates or future agenda items for today? Yes, Robert.
And Darcy, you remember this, wasn't it back in 11 we did I saw Tool Design Group, it was the source for some of those photos. The Pedestrian Safety Action Plan, that's a plan to address Bill Hill's comments about what we've done in the past, and maybe that needs to be updated. I don't know what the funding source is to do that, but there's maybe some committee members, new committee members who are unaware of that, Joey, and maybe we can have at least a little bit of oversight, a brief capsulization or summary of what the Pedestrian Safety Action Plan is. So that's one thought. The other thing that just FYI, at some point, maybe what we need to do, and I know, Jessica, I don't know if they have a sidewalk inventory going back to Bill Hill's comments, but I do know that the City of San Antonio Development Services, whenever you develop or redevelop a property, you don't have a sidewalk, you got to put it in. And I know that some of the bond issues are filling in the gaps over the years, but I don't know how we get to that, but I thought that was an important question that Bill asked. Anybody else? Lauren?
Yeah, in terms of announcements.
Yeah, so announcements and future agenda items.
Okay, so I have an announcement.
Yeah, go for it.
So we are very excited for Bike Month. Yes, no, good to hear me.
Okay, I'm just going to talk right into this thing. So the City of New Braunfels is really starting to ramp up our efforts for Bike Month, and going hand in hand with that is our annual bike festival, Cyclo Viva. Not to be confused with Ciclovia. It's the second cousin of Ciclovia. So I brought a couple of flyers today, if you can pass them around. It's on April 10th, so that's a Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m. We are going to block off about 2 miles of San Antonio Street. Yeah, so it'll be the west side of town, and there'll be a bunch of activities. There'll be booths focusing on health, food, culture. So if you have any interest, feel welcome to come. We're also open to sponsorships, mostly within the city, but if you're interested, of course, we'd love to hear you out. So just keep Cycloviva in mind, and we're looking forward to that in April.
You're working on the bonds too, aren't you? Aren't y'all working on the bond package?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So our bond has been moving along. We had our public input meeting this Monday, which is leading into the selection of our projects by the committees to move into PER, or preliminary engineering review.
For those online, Lauren's update on Cycloviva, I'll send out a digital copy of the flyer as well. We'll send that out. Does anybody else have any announcements or other agenda item suggestions? Again, I'll try to get to the agenda item suggestions as appropriate, so we don't have like a super long meeting.
This is Allison Hayward from NEP, and I just wanted to share that shirts is, it's not necessarily for Bike Month, but we're doing a Moving on Main, and it's April 3rd from 12 to 4, and we're blocking off our main street so that people can bike, run, walk, stroll. There's vendor opportunities for food trucks and activities and displays. And if anybody wants to come out, it's April 3rd from 12 to 4 on Shirts Main Street.
Yes, great. So we have 3 weekends in a row of open streets events. So we have Cyclovia in San Antonio on the 27th of March, Moving on Main on April 3rd, and then Cycloviva on April 10th in New Braunfels. So very exciting stuff. Thanks for the update.
This is JD with B-Cycle. You can always access through our Instagram account or on our website, most notably in our newsletter. We have a lot of events here in March, April, and May. The one coming up on March 20th is our Art of Nature portal ride, leaving from Confluence Park, and that's in association with the San Antonio River Authority and the San Antonio Foundation, And so you can sign up for that, and we'll be using our pedal assist e-bikes and touring going south. It goes from 8 until 12 on March 20th, and then there's a bunch of other stuff following after that. So just check it out.
Thank you, JD. Anybody else have any announcements?
Joey, this is Patricia. I just have another question. Relating to my first question. So will TAC be taking action on the appointment of the 2 additional ATAC members this Friday, or will we be doing that at a later time when we have alternates?
So the appointments that are made today are valid as of today, and so they, Robert and Jessica are able to attend on Friday. That will be, the next TAC meeting. But TAC doesn't need to take any action. So Jessica and Robert are eligible to be at TAC as of this Friday. And I realize that, the current roster doesn't show that, but we're going to update that as soon as we can.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or announcements? We have 4 minutes.
Yeah, we have an announcement. Transportation Department, we just launched a local website to track how you travel, either to work, to the grocery store, or anything. So there's a survey there if you go on the Transportation Department site for the COSA web. So transportation at sanantonio.gov. You can contact us there. And then that's about it. As far as Bike Month, we're starting to develop our survey for the Bike Network Plan, which is also known as the Bike Master Plan Update. So if you have any questions about that, contact Joe. And also, just recently we've had a couple of inquiries about projects. As far as projects are concerned, definitely contact us if you have a question, and we'll direct you towards the people that are in charge of it as far as managing the project. Because right now, Transportation Department does not have any active projects, but Public Works does as far as street projects. So if you have any concerns about street projects, especially downtown or anything else, definitely feel free to email me, but we will send you to the right person so you can speak to the right one that knows the most about it.
And I'll just note that I'll be sharing with Joey some of our upcoming public meetings. We have a couple on State Highway 123 from I-10 to Cordova, and that meeting's on March the 15th. But there is a virtual option, so it's Seguin, that's in Seguin. And then also US 87, which is from the Bear-Wilson County line, another project that we'll have, and I don't have a date on that one yet, but it'll also have a virtual option. And you can always go to texdot.gov and go to our public meeting and hearing site to see where all our meetings are at as well.
Thank you, Dorsey. If there's no more comments or announcements, we can call this meeting to be adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for participating. We'll see you on the 13th of April.
Thank you all.